Welcome back. This week we are talking about something that we are all going to have to deal with, not just at some point in our life, probably throughout most of your life, and that's just the subject of mean people. Everybody has mean people in their life, and sadly, you have probably been the mean person in somebody else's life. Maybe right now you're the mean person in someone's life, and so we want to deal with that. We want to address that. Yesterday, we just kind of opened the idea that Jesus calls us to do unto others as we would have them do to us. So treat people the way you want to be treated. But oftentimes my default, my gut, is to treat people how I've been treated. I want to get even with them. And a lot of times people, even in Jesus's day, they would misquote something from the Old Testament to justify their revenge. They would say, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And, they would use this as a term to excuse their vengeance. Yet Jesus said, you've heard an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say, if somebody slaps you on one cheek, give them the other cheek. He opens up the door that you can do a radically different route than getting even. Why? Because when you get even with somebody, you become even with them. So I don't mean even like, okay, well now it's settled because you punched me and I punched you and we're good. But I mean, to get even with somebody that's being mean, to get even with somebody that I really don't like or care for, I lower my character to be even with them. And I don't want to be even with them. So this week, let's explore other options in there. One of the things that's just really important to realize, and this is a principle that I've heard many different places. It's not a specific biblical quote, but I think it's true. Hurt people hurt people. So people who have been hurt turn around and hurt other people. And one that goes with that as well, hunted people also hunt people. And so you think about elementary, you think about childhood. If you had those bullies in your school, a lot of times those bullies are kids who have pretty rough families, pretty rough older siblings, or they're not protected in their home like maybe you have been protected. And so, I have a friend who was a counselor, and he used to always say, behavior should make you curious. And so if somebody's acting a certain way, instead of my emotions flaring up on the beginning, I want to be curious, and I want to be curious with the Lord and say, God, the way this person is acting just is off, and I want to understand. I want to know. When you are hurt and you begin to hurt other people, typically what happens is somebody's done something wrong to you, and you take it out on everybody else. And what that means is that person who hurt you actually has a lot more control over you than you ever imagined. We talk about like somebody's renting space in your head. And so my question to you today is, if somebody's being mean to you, somebody's being hurtful to you, how much control are you giving this person in your head? How much operational space do they have? Is it affecting not just your relationship with them, but is it affecting your relationship with other people? Is it affecting your desire to go and be a part of good things? Hurt people. They have probably been hurt, and that's why they're reaching out to hurt. But are you now turning around and hurting other people because of your hurt? And we want a radical, different way. Jesus says in Matthew 5:43, he says, you have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who's in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even Gentiles do the same? And so today, here's my encouragement. If you realize and would agree with that concept that hurt people, and you've got a mean person in your life that's being hurtful, Jesus commands you to love them. And sometimes the relationship is too toxic, it's too difficult, it's too damaging for you to actually be face-to-face with them or be around them. Sometimes not. But either way, the first step that you can do is you can begin to pray for this person. And the closer you are to the character of Jesus, the more your prayers can be, instead of just, God, make them stop doing this thing. But think about the fact that they have probably been hurt. Think about the fact that they have probably been hunted. Think about the fact that there's some kind of gaping hole in their heart or in their character, some kind of damage to their soul where sin has taken hold and they are reacting really poorly. And so as you pray for them, start praying for their heart. Start praying for the Lord to just soften the things that are hard, to heal the things that are broken, to protect them from the relationships that are doing damage to them. And I think if you will begin in prayer, then the Lord might open doors that you would never see. Because ultimately, it's not just that I want mean people to stop being mean. I want them to transform. I don't want them to lead a miserable life. I don't want them to make me miserable, but I really don't want them to be miserable as well. And the most powerful platform, the most powerful arena that you can do battle in is not getting even with them. It's truly taking them to the Lord in prayer. Why? Because hurt people, hunted people, hunt people. They are a broken individual and they are being mean for a reason. The reason may not be you. But begin to pray for your enemies. Pray for these people that are being harmful to you. And then just let's see what the Lord does. We'll explore some other things we can do tomorrow. But for today, realizing that this person who is acting sinfully towards you has a lot of brokenness in their life. And so begin to lift them to the Lord in prayer and see what the Lord does.